Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Tonight we have an amazing tech talk by Peju, who will be talking about creative development and user experience. Peju, you may take it away.
Thank you very much for everyone for coming to my tech talk. And I would like to thank Coach Smith, Ginny, and Bracklet for giving me the opportunity to give this talk on creative development in user experience. So first, our topic, creative development in user experience. Now, first thing we need to ask ourselves, what does creativity itself mean? When you hear the word creativity, what comes to mind is, oh, the ability to come up with something or the ability to create something. And that is actually very correct. According to Robert E. Franklin in the year 1994, he defined creativity as the tendency to generate or recognize ideas, alternatives, or possibilities that may be useful in solving problems, communicating with others, and entertaining ourselves and others. Now, when we come about the term user experience, what does user experience mean? It simply refers to the feeling, satisfaction, or the impression a user gets from using a product, whether it has to do with completing a task, clicking on a button. Everything is tied to the experience of that user because it is coming from a user's point of view. Now, if we decide to put everything together, we decide to put creativity and user experience together, and we ask ourselves, what does creative development in user experience mean? I would say it is the ability to generate ideas, alternatives, or possibilities that are useful in solving problems relating to products and how they are used. Now, why is UX important? UX being user experience. Well, it is simple. It tries to make users happy. The idea of UX rather is it's to get the perspective of users and how they interact with a product, whatever they feel from doing whatever they are trying to do with your product. There is an impression left on the user when they are able to successfully fulfill their needs through a product. Happy customers equal happy customer retention, customer referrals, and helpful user stories. In business administration, we have this term called customer retention and customer referrals, which you guys can see right here. When a customer is happy with a particular product or services, for example, the company tends to like retain these customers because they are happy with the products. And also there's also like a tendency of these same customers referring your products to other customers because, well, if they're receiving something good, they obviously would want someone else to receive something good. And good user experience also encompasses how a user interacts with a product or a service. So it does not matter if the user is like indirectly attached to a product, whether attached directly or not, it is still going to like it is still connected to like this thing, the user experience, whatever the user experiences from using that product directly or indirectly. It accesses the ease of use, the relevance of the items displayed, and so on. So now, when we talk about the consequences of bad user experience or UX, the first one says here that the user can leave the website, which is going to give like a high bounce rate, which is completely true. I mean, for example, if you try to load a website and it's taking about a minute or 2 minutes long to display a working landing page, nobody's going to have the patience to stay back and wait for something like that to just come up. Sometimes most people would have it in mind that, oh, this person's website is not even functioning properly. Let me find an alternative. That is you giving an opportunity to your competitors, and obviously you would not like that. So the next consequence of bad UX here is that the users can miss what they're looking for, causing like confusion. Sometimes sometimes it is better to like specify what some icons are used for, or when you put some icons, make it in such a way that the users are able to understand easily, because an icon can mean like two different things, especially if it's like a generic type of icon. So you have to be like really careful with stuff like that, because a lot of people have actually gone through that kind of situation, and then users can commit like unintended actions. For example, deleting their profiles by mistake, deleting something important, and so on. Now I've spoken about the consequences of bad UX. Now, what makes a great user experience? Just keeping it in mind. The answer is just keeping it in mind that you're not the user. Always have it in mind that you're not the user. You can never have the same thinking as the users of your product. To you designing the product, you already know it's in and out, but someone outside of your organization, somebody outside of you, would not necessarily be able to understand the reason why you have made your designs or your front end in a specific way. So you have to be like, you have to really think from the perspective of the user, and we do that through many different processes. So when we talk about user experience process, it depends on the type of product that is being created actually. However, a similar approach to handling this process is by research. The first thing that comes to your mind when you want to make a good user experience is by researching on what users want, on how they see things. So you would be able to like have a good idea of what everybody is going to need. So a common approach in conducting a research study is always identifying the problem, not just identifying the problem and just jumping into it, identifying the problem and taking a couple of steps before reaching your solution. Researching for UX is actually not so different. And also through interactions with users, you can develop user stories that outline the features of your products. Also, according to Adobe, there are other steps in UX aside from research that follow the design thinking concepts. And first, we have product definition. Product definition is the ability to understand the reason for a product's existence. What problem are you trying to solve? What is your product about? Then secondly, research, which is a systematic investigation and study of users. Analysis is drawing insights from the data collected during the research phase. Design is the creation. This is where UI itself, the user interface itself, comes in. And validation is testing the created designs by the users for good and informed feedback, good or bad. So now, what's creative development on the front end? This is the process of generating imaginative ideas, designing them, and bringing them to life through front-end development. Creativity in front-end development involves simplifying user interactions with an application and influencing their behavior to produce particular results. This includes the usage of animations, 3D graphics or models, etc. If UX designers do not consider the demands of their potential customers, the app cannot be useful, which is true, because if whatever you design is basically according to how you think it should be, it's going to be difficult for users that are not like familiar with what you're doing to be able to use your product. And obviously, every product is made for the purpose of profit. And a company cannot gain their profits just by you alone. So you have to think about the users whenever you're trying to make any design or any interface of any kind. How important is creative development? So naturally, it relies first on the website and its goals. Some websites kinds don't place high priority on creative front-end development. You don't need that much motion on your online banking website, for example. And of course, you would need a few lovely transitions to soften and improve things, but they are most certainly not essential to a banking application. And also, it is dependent on the designer. The designer should assume the initiative and control all interactions and motions throughout the project, except in the case where the developer is also an awesome designer. It will be difficult to attain this creative front-end development results if the designer is unable to manage and direct all of this. Creative development in itself is like bringing to life your imaginations. It is something that can be very tricky if you do not understand the full scope of what you are doing. So you have to be very knowledgeable in what you're trying to do, and you have to take like a couple of plans before you go deep into bringing these things to life. Then next is how important, oh yes, we're still on the importance of creative development, on the importance rather. So generally speaking, if the goal of your website permits creative development and you have a fantastic designer leading the charge, your project will undoubtedly succeed. So how important is motion design for web? Maybe simply answered by responding to the question, how important is creative front-end development? So like we said again, it depends on you, it depends on your type of product, and it depends on your designer. Tools for creative development. There are a lot of tools. Personally, JS alone, JavaScript, HTML5, and CSS are alone enough for you to create something really nice off the top of your head. But there are other libraries that you can also make use of. We have WebGL, we have Three.js. Three.js is like a superset of WebGL. We have Framer Motion, which is a CSS animation library, and we have other CSS animation libraries too. So I would like to demo some websites that seem to have these characteristics I have spoken about. And let's start with this little code snippet I have here. I got this from Yeti Learner on Udemy. I followed the course on Codat. It's also part of the references at the end of the slides, so everyone can come across it and make use of it if they need. So this is just JavaScript, and in my HTML, all I have is just this canvas tag, and I imported my script tag. Well, my plan was just to make like particles that recreate a picture, but instead they'll be like little tiny divs of white dots. So I tried to recreate Stephen Curry's picture here, and this is what I got from what I was practicing. So this is it. This is just a little creative stuff with just JavaScript. Then we have other things like, yes, an example, this Svelte 2 website by a couple of students in the P7 cohort in the Ginger Noodle team. They created this huge 3D model hammer that just swoons around the website from left to right, which I find really cool. The idea behind the hammer apparently was because of the Svelte 2 logo that has the hammer to it. So hammer. And we have this Canon website, and this was a Three.js project. And as you can see, every time you scroll, you get to see different parts of the camera, which I find to be like extremely cool. Then I found this website about a little robot that is going home, and well, apparently he's lost and he's just cycling around. This was made with Three.js, and we have this game basically made also with Three.js. Yeah, I don't know what to play, but yeah, we have this game basically. So that's everything. You can also play game. You can
Follow the fireflies to join me.
Yeah, you can do basically anything with it with JavaScript. Personally, I feel JavaScript has improved a lot, and there are a lot of things, a whole lot of things that you can do with it. And bringing your imaginations to life is not particularly a bad idea. With JavaScript, you can get easily, and you have a lot of packages out there for you that can support you. So I want to say a little thank you for coming to my presentation. I would like to bring my presentation to an end. Thank you very much for listening to me. And that would be all from my side. And also, if you need references to the articles that I made use of, you can find them all here. And yes, that will be all. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you so much, Peju, for some amazing looking slides, a wonderful demo, and a very informative presentation. It does not look like we have any time for questions, but I would like to ask everybody to unmute for a second to give Peju a wonderful round of applause.
Bravo.
Good job.
Congratulations.
Amazing job, Peju. Thank you all very much. Have a wonderful night.